Depends on who you ask, but Formula One is the pinnacle of motorsport, and it aims to be the king of racing games yet again with its latest installment of the franchise. F1 2021 is back with more of what you already love, with an additional career mode which packs quite a punch. Many people were wondering what the heck the EA Codemasters deal would do to the game, and honestly, it changes very, very little and adds some positive to it. You can purchase a podium pass if you wish, which works like any in-game leveling experience that is used for unlocking liveries, outfits, emotes, and more. I'm unsure if that is a new feature to put in the game, as I am quite unfamiliar with past F1 games. But with that said, I have played a few F1 games in this past decade. I'm just not a dedicated F1 diehard, so I don't play it every single year. Jumping into F1 2021, it felt very familiar with the last game I played, which was F1 2019, but with a slightly modern feel and look. Physics feel the same to me, and that goes for both controller or the wheel. Career mode now has a My Team, which allows you to completely create your own team, well, duh, manage your entire team, manage the upgrades, handle the press, and drive. That also allows you to update everything with your research and development. Honestly, this is a very fulfilling entry into career mode, as it's very deep and rewarding. You'll have to earn your way to the top in this mode. It is not simple, but it is very fun. Breaking Point is the new narrative-based career mode where you control Aiden Jackson as you navigate through your final F2 race and enter into F1 with Casper Ackerman as your teammate, doesn't matter which team you pick, and fight against him and have to deal with Devin Butler's drama on and off the track. Seriously, Codemasters hit the nail on the head with Breaking Point, as the story, characters, and cinematics were very interesting and fun to play. Having not one, but two enjoyable career mode options was a fresh take on the racing genre, and I hope to see more of this in the future. The bar has now been raised, and other game developers need to work on their single player and career modes like this. It really adds to the game experience as a whole. Of course, you have your original Grand Prix career mode where you just pick a driver and race, and that's your familiar F1 game content, nothing changed there. But Breaking Point and My Team is extraordinary, and it will give you many hours of playtime and entertainment. I can't comment on the two-player career because I have not touched it yet. I was going to play with my daughter, but she doesn't really show much interest in that. And there's no cross-platform, unfortunately, because I was going to play with my buddy who was on Xbox, but since there's no cross-platform, I can't find anybody to play with, so no two-player career mode yet for me. Time trial is also back, so you and your friends can grind the leaderboards. Playing online can be hit or miss. The best thing going for F1 2021 is how full the lobbies are at any time of day. This is nice to see, as several games from the past few years have been rather empty right when the game comes out. Even with this no cross-platform stuff, this is good to see, as I would rather race with people online. I usually finish career mode pretty quickly, even if I don't beat it. Maybe it lasts 10 hours or so, and then I have to play online. However, some people just shouldn't drive the F1 car if they don't know how to handle them. Racing these cars is treacherous, and playing a ranked lobby can be terrifying at times, even if the race is only running 5 laps. Most of the carnage happens within the first lap, specifically the first turn or maybe even turn 2, which then turns into a hot lapping session, and the grid kind of spreads out by then, and you only have 5 laps, and sometimes the racing can be good, sometimes it can be frustrating. The cars are so brittle that any contact will ruin your aero, which makes it impossible to take a turn at normal speed, which forces you to make a pit stop, which sends you back half a lap. It's a headache at times. I've had quite a few races, at least 20, and the races are fun, but most of them are a pain in the arse. I have had some good battles, but usually people are just too eager to dive bomb, and that usually ruins a race. I've also had some people try to take me out, and of course, that if once you get hit by an F1 car going 200 miles an hour, I mean, the race is pretty much over with. However, if you can keep racing and you have that podium pass, you can unlock all kinds of neat custom stuff for your character and your car. The customization seems pretty deep, and I'm just getting started on that aspect because I just enabled it like a dum-dum, and I'm only at like level 5, even though I should be at like 30 or something by now. Now, let's get into the pros and cons of F1 2021. First off with the pros, Let's start with Breaking Point is amazing, and I highly recommend it if you've been yearning for a good career mode with good story, cinematics, and great voice work. Seriously, the acting is really good on here, and the graphics team for Codemasters should really pat themselves on the back. It was really gripping. It was fantastically done. Sometimes the characters looked a little off, but considering what they used to look like 2-3 years ago, like, this is a major step up. Another pro is the multiplayer lobbies are full. Again, I talked about that earlier, where like when Grid came out and when Dirt 5 came out, the lobbies for these two games, I play on Steam, I play on the PC, and with no cross-platform, I was stuck playing on my computer with these games, and there was no online racing. It just wasn't. Like, there'd be, if you had to wait into a lobby and you finally got in, there would be like maybe 2 people in that lobby. So it's good to finally jump onto a multiplayer lobby and have 8 to 20 people in there. I can't remember how deep the lobbies go, but I had a really big race the other morning, and it was terrifying. Another pro is my team is very deep and enjoyable to journey through. It really, really is. It's really fun. And before you start my team, you can also, if you don't feel like managing the Meet the Press, or you don't feel like dealing with research and development, then you don't have to. You can literally turn all that stuff off and just race. Now, you will reap the benefits better if you manage that, I will admit, because I started one where I handled everything. And it's a slower playthrough because you're literally managing a shitload. But you can turn that off. I noticed that the research was kind of a little slower than usual, and just building your team just seemed to take a little longer than if you don't manage it. So, than if you do manage it, sorry. So, another pro is the graphics are very, very good. Even with my low to mid-range PC, I could run this game at 1080p, and I could sit at 60 frames per second and have no problem. The surround sound audio is very good as well. It's really, really imperative to have that, especially when you have 8 cars right behind you and you don't know who's to your left and who's to your right. You don't even have to look. You can hear, if you have some good headset, a good headset on with good surround sound, you can literally hear cars to your right, so you know if Vettel is trying to dive bomb you, or if Verstappen is late to the brakes, you know, and he's just screeching tires. It's really good to have that sound in there because it really gives you awareness on the track. Another pro is the new damage model will impress sim racing enthusiasts and really challenge you. It is tough to race these cars. Like I said earlier, these cars are brittle and they are fast and they are horrible to drive. And by horrible, I mean insanely fun, because they're super grippy with their insane aerodynamics, and a lot of people online aren't really ready for it. Even I, playing career mode, I may have to restart a race 4 times because I get a little too ambitious and then I run into the back of Gasly or something. So, last but not least, the research and development tree has been simplified. I almost forgot to jot this down, and I forgot to mention it in my main bit of goodness up there, but the research and development tree that was really hectic and kind of overwhelming, they simplified that into a menu-based system, so things won't even appear for you unless it's unlocked and ready to go, which is nice to see. You can look ahead and see what you want, just like you could with the tree, but yeah, it's simplified and it's not overwhelming. So if you were ever anxious about the R&D tree at all, it's a lot better this time around, trust me. The cons, maybe I skipped it, but I have not noticed it. There's no F2 in multiplayer. I really think having F2 in multiplayer would be great, especially for newcomers, newbies. They really, really, really need to implement those slightly slower cars in the game for multiplayer. Also, please add a no damage 5-lap lobby, because having a 5-lap ranked lobby, that's fun and dandy and all, but like I said earlier, if you get smashed up on turn 1 on the first lap, you have to slowly make that entire, and you gotta finish lap 1 really slowly, right? And then you have to pit. By then you're already a lap and a half down, maybe even 2 laps, especially if you're going around Spa. So, please, make a no damage 5-lap lobby. My second con is it's a steep learning curve for newbies. And if you're not used to this game, if you're not used to these cars, it can be difficult. So beware of that steep learning curve. They have changed the physics and the way the cars handle. I really think it handles extremely well on controller, especially with the wheel. So if you're equipped for it and if you're ready, you'll do very well. But considering I've been playing a lot of Project Cars 3 and Forzas and stuff the past like year, and Dirt 5, those games were easy to pick up. This game is quite difficult. And last but not least, like I said earlier, I have a low to mid-range PC and I run the game fairly good. However, if you crank the graphics up to Ultra, your computer may struggle. I have an i5 with 16 gig of RAM and I forget what kind of hard drive, or not hard drive, I forget what kind of graphics card I have, but I will list that down below. And sometimes during the cinematics, the PC would drop frames and it would look really choppy. So if you have a low or mid-range PC, you may want to put the graphics on medium or high. And that's just to play it. If you're trying to record or stream, it's very, very difficult. Anytime I stream or record footage, I have to put the graphics on low. That way I try to get the least amount of choppiness as possible, even though the game would kind of look like, you know, it wouldn't look the best, but at least the frames would be there. Other than that, I really have no complaints about the game. I'm having a lot of fun, and I know this review is late. This game's been out for 2 weeks at this point, but I really wanted to share my thoughts with you guys on this game. It really is a good game. If I had to give it a rating, honestly, I was thinking like an 8.5, 8.7 out of 10. So realistically, I'm thinking 8.5, 8.7. That's a pretty good. I'll just stick with an 8.5. There are some improvements that could be made, and some. I don't want to say that it's lacking features, because it's not. There's plenty of stuff to do, especially if you never even touch multiplayer. You could seriously never even go online and race and still have a ball. You'd still have so much fun and play for at least 200 hours. But in terms of multiplayer, it seems so linear that I do have fun playing it, but it could be a headache, and there's only like one real option. You have your casual play, which is like ghost hot lapping, and that's okay, but it got boring real fast. And then you have your ranked lobbies, and you can have 25% races and 5-lap races. And I wish there was more options. So not much to complain about. The game looks and plays really well. The single player alone is phenomenal. So 8.5 out of 10. That is my review. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye-bye.